Yo, what's going on? It's your most wholesome e-boy on the internet, aka Rafa. Today we are doing a little overview reaction to a new champion that came out. You might have heard of her. Her name is Samira, and I don't know anything about her. I literally don't. I've been busy with school, and the only thing I've been really paying attention to is World, so I haven't actually played that much League recently myself, just a few every now and then, some casual games with some friends. But you know, as we bring up this in the main screen, it looks like a marksman. You're gonna have to fill in the details for me. This is just kind of like my blind impression overview. She looks dope though. It's like we're not even a second in, and we already see that she's got some cool guns. She's got a patch, so I'm already thinking that she's from the Bilgewater region. That's my guess, assuming pirate, and she's also got a is that her sword? Why is this so big? What? Well, you know what? Let's just get into it and let's find out what Samira's like.
Meet Samira, the Desert Rose. As a young Shuriman, she made a name for herself among the war bands of Nox.
Oh, so she's not from Bilgewater. She's from Shurima.
By taking on the most dangerous missions with ease. She's a gunslinging, sword-swinging marksman, with style above all else.
So she can...
Samira, try not to slow me down.
What the hell?
Think you can keep up? Welcome to the Samira Champion Spotlight.
What? We'll break down after we watch it one full time through.
Samira's passive is her Daredevil Impulse. Wielding both guns and a sword, Samira can strike from a distance or melee range, switching weapons automatically when she attacks. Whenever Samira hits an enemy champion, she starts building her style rank from E up to S. Each hit must be distinct from the previous one to add to the combo, so no spamming. Weave auto attacks and abilities to stack your style. The more stylish you are, the faster you move. Increase its rank up to S to
That's so
activate your
cool.
ultimate, with more on that later. If Samira leaves combat, her style resets shortly afterward.
I never go out of style.
Wow, you can...
Additionally, if Samira targets an enemy affected by hard crowd control in her attack range, she will knock them up into the air, unleashing a flurry of shots at the same time.
Huh?
Juggling ain't just for clowns. Samira's Q is Flare.
Well, that's like...
she's got plenty to spare.
It's almost like Kaisa / Swain in a way.
If that enemy is in melee range, Samira instead slashes with her sword. No rose is without its thorns. This attack can critically strike for a good chunk of bonus damage. Samira's W, Blade Whirl, has a passive that grants bonus damage to attacks.
And she's Katarina? What?
When activated, Samira unleashes her inner Swordmaster and spins in a circle for a brief moment, damaging enemies and destroying.
I have to pause because is this... This is a champion that is like Jace, where she can be ranged or be in melee range, and it's not requiring a transform. It's just automatic depending on where the range of the character is. She's got already insane mobility based on the little preview we saw before the ability breakdown, and now she has Wind Wall, but in an AoE circle. This champion's busted. What?
Destroying enemy missiles in the area. Move over, Yasuo. The Tilt Queen is here.
Yeah.
With her E, Wild Rush, Samira dashes through an ally or enemy within range, slashing enemies along her path. Anytime Samira...
This is like a bastardization of Yasuo and Jace, Katarina. Oh my lord.
Gets a takedown, Wild Rush's cooldown resets, allowing her to get back into, or out of, the fight.
Messy, but effective.
Activate Flare alongside Wild Rush, deal extra damage to targets along your path. Or use Blade Whirl right before you dash to save a teammate. You can put it on their tab.
Keep the change. You're gonna need it.
Remember that style rank you built up? Once Samira earns an S grade, she can cast her ultimate, Inferno trigger.
Oh, so
Samira unleashes a sandstorm of attacks, hitting enemies in an area around her several times over a few seconds.
Another Katarina build. What the?
These shots can critically strike and activate lifesteal, but not on hit effects. Hard crowd control will knock Samira out of her ultimate, so look for the right moment to go bang, bang, bang.
Taking a quick break.
Since Samira is always spoiling for a fight, this spell has no cooldown. As soon as you have enough style, she's ready to go again.
What? There's no cooldown gate in the ability itself? It's just dependent on hitting S in the passive? Riot, we gotta talk. Who made this champ? Certainly T? Who made this champ? This champion is like... It is so loaded. This is like... It's a super cool champion. But it's almost like power creeping a lot of the previous champions that we've seen in League. I will say, this is a champion that, because we're not going to see it in Worlds because we're already on our way and into Worlds 2020 starting this Friday for play-in stages. And this champ, like, imagine, I don't even know if they were able to balance it correctly on PBE, because the thing about new champions, anytime they come to the live servers, either they are very under buffed or the numbers are under optimal settings, so then Riot Games has to buff them over time so that eventually it gets to the point where pro players decide that they are playable. But now's not the time to do that, because pro players don't even have the chance to play it, because we're going to be on the World's 10.19 patch. I mean, technically Samira is released on this patch, but she will not be enabled because it's not going to be fair for the rest of the pros. And I would imagine that because you're not going to have another patch to balance any changes, the 10.19 patch is the final patch, and it will remain constant throughout the entire tournament all the way until October 31st. So I imagine that her numbers are going to be insane on release, which is today. And I have not checked Discord. I have not opened up League. I haven't opened up Twitter yet. But I can imagine that things are crazy. Because right now, Samira is just insane.
Samira is at her best when she's weaving in and out of fights, unloading at the perfect time.
The only thing that prevents a champion like this from popping off, it looks like her range is going to be around Lucian's range, which is like 500. And it makes sense, because if she had the capabilities of having a longer range than 500, then there's no way that you would ever want to pick Lucian again. There's no way that you would ever want to pick Jace again. And there's no way you ever... I'm just trying to think of like other ranged solo laners, because her ability to play make makes me think that this shouldn't be a bot laner, even though this looks like a marksman champion, because there's so much potential, there's so much mobility that is encouraged to be aggressive mobility rather than defensive mobility, since the wild dash, the E, only allows you to go through champions rather than through allies, unless if I misunderstood that. We can go back and double check that in a bit. But from my understanding, this is something more of a solo lane champion in Samira. I wonder if it could be jungle. I would love it. But the thing is that even though I would love it for it to be jungle, if it's not an exclusively jungle role and it's something like Kiana where it was made for jungle, but it was so good in solo lane, it became a triple flex, so that they decided to nerf it out of the jungle, and then subsequently it became so bad that like it's only niche in mid lane, which then before Worlds they decided to nerf it, which felt really bad. I know that some of the top players in the LPL in the high elo China server were using it to great degree. So, you know, maybe Riot Games knew something that we didn't, but still, I enjoy seeing Qiyana in pro play because I think it's definitely like a higher skill mastery champion. But, you know, enough about Qiyana, more about Samira. You get what I'm saying though, right? If Samira were to have capabilities of being opted in multiple roles, then what happens usually in pro play is that this champion, not only on top of it being a powerful kit, but then the flexibility adds another layer of power when it comes to drafting and compositions, because anytime you're able to secure on blue side a powerful flex pick in B1, which is first pick for blue, if you're not familiar with the shorthand notation, then it gives you the opportunity to bait out and see what your opponents are going to pick on R1 and R2, or red pick 1, red pick 2, the first 2 picks of the red side draft. Still, just explaining for those that are not familiar with the shorthand notation. You know, your composition has multiple avenues of being finalized in. You don't give away anything. You don't tell them right away, you know, what your overall composition is going to be. Now, Samira, her identity is mainly backline access. Just her being able to weave throughout in and out of the battles aggressively through champions. Now, like I said, you know, the only time you can use that mobility defensively is if you are, you know, using enemy champions as a retreating mechanism. Same thing with Yasuo. That's why we never see Yasuo really in as a defensive kite back type of composition where you are looking to create space and buy time. Yasuo wants to go in. That's why it's super good with crowd control compositions. Gragas being like a staple that with Yasuo, you're looking to enable the Yasuo into the backline rather than, instead of having to have Yasuo dash through and then provide his own backline access into Last Breath. You know, you have something like a Gragas who throws the cask, enables the displacement, and then boom, Yasuo is able to instantly blink to the backline. So I would imagine it's something similar to this. And because we saw how Samira is able to interact with champions that are CC'd, she briefly knocks them up as well. Which is almost like Swain, where if you're in a Swain lane or you're playing with Swain on your team, you CC them, that Swain is able to right click and then pull them towards you. Her knocking up characters and then applying a little bit of damage is kind of like a combination of Swain and Kai'Sa in a sense. So because whenever you CC someone and you have Kai'Sa on your team, you apply a plasma stack, which adds to her bonus percentage missing health damage. So there's a lot going on in this character, and with that being said, the only way that she cannot exist in a composition, or she cannot succeed in doing what she wants, is if her health stats and her durability stats, so stuff like her armor, her magic resist, all the base stats, and then how much armor per level she's getting, and if she does get MR per level, which I don't think, in fact, I don't think any champion no longer gets MR per level, so I might be mistaken on that, unless it's like a tank champion. So we'll see.
During the laning phase, she styles on enemies who depend on skill shots and forces them to fight on her terms. Pair her with an engaged support for some flashy plays in the bot lane.
And with utility like the Yasuo Wind Wall, the Whirlblade, that allows her, it gives her extra defensive capabilities when she's on the offensive, because it is such a short range, and it looks like it's timing, because it's not just a permanent wind wall that you leave up. It's not terrain scaling in a sense where it's just now like a temporary part of the field. You have to time it, so it's all in that case. It can be thought of as like a spell shield from like Sivir, or similar to Sivir or Nocturne, but because it's AoE, I bet you that she can do it with enemies inside or allies inside to protect them.
Are where Samira really gets lit. Build style by weaving autos in between each ability as you go. Inferno Trigger can interrupt Blade Whirl, so when you see your moment, press W for a quick final stack and clean up with Inferno Trigger. With such a short range and only one escape tool, choosing the right fights with Samira is the difference between living fast and
wow. Yeah. Blocking Ornn, Call of the Forge God.
young.
No big deal.
Be careful about being too wild with Wild Rush. Going in at the wrong time or on the wrong target can turn Samira into Sadmira.
Settle down, sweet cake.
Ready to show off your play style in the bot lane? Play Samira, the Desert Rose. Check out the links in the description below to learn more about this flashy marksman. Now, who's ready for some pizza?
God damn, her sword is huge.
Sadmira. To learn more about this flashy marksman.
I wouldn't want to be on the opposite end of that thing. So, this style rank, I think, is the most intriguing part, because it's almost like taking Draven's concept of like being stylish by, you know, having the minigame of catching axes to increase the potential amount of gold that you'll receive off of the next kill that you get, but it's more in the moment, and because it's something that you can constantly keep track of because it's an extra resource bar, I think that's a super cool concept. I'm not sure how I feel about balance-wise the rest of her kit being like almost the best of all these other previous champions, but you know, it does get hard as League of Legends and Riot Games continues expanding the champion roster available. I mean, I think we've already gotten past the 150 mark. Like, we have 150 plus champions, guys. That's nuts. We've come a long way in the past 10 years of playing this awesome game. So, at some point, when you look at other franchises like Pokemon, it's like the ideas start running out, and then you're just like, well, what do we make next, right? So, but it happens. But I, you know, looking back on this briefly,
guns and a sword, Samira.
Yeah, that looks like 500. Is Sivir 500 range too? I thought she was 525. I could be wrong. I wonder if that interaction is supposed to be that you can knock them up and then Swain pulls them. That's like off of one Swain-y, you are getting like an additional like 1.5 to 2 seconds of CC. And in a team fight or in an all-in and laning phase, that is forever. It is so long.
Samira's Q is Flare, and she's got plenty to spare. She fires out a shot, and the first enemy gets got. If that enemy is in melee range, Samira instead slashes with her sword.
Now with this, I wonder if jungle could work, because Q would be, I'm assuming, your first ability that you max for poke, for trading. And then in the jungle, it would be the best one to do when you're trying to do AoE camps. Depending on what the cooldown is like, then even if you can't clear raptors as healthily, you know, something that you can always do, and this is a tip for junglers if you don't already know this, when you take Hunter's Talisman as your starting item, anytime you're doing single camp clears or single target camp clears, so if you would do like blue buff to Gromp and then make your way over to red to get level 3, if you're really low on health, whatever AoE ability you have, take for example, let's say Elise, right? You start blue buff, you do Gromp, you start walking over to red, throw your W, your volatile spiderling, into the raptor camp, but don't go to fight it. Just continue making your way to red buff, pull the red buff into the bush. That way the raptor camp doesn't even hit you and it resets. But because of Hunter's Talisman and the spell vamp it does, and it increases the healing per enemy or jungle minion / monster that you hit with an ability, you get so much health back. And you can do it with a lot of other champions as well. That's why a lot of times when, you know, you see like novice junglers struggling to figure out how to do clears on those champs like that, they fail to utilize that aspect, and because it's just something that they don't think about. But you know, that's jungle tip. Yeah, for those that are more experienced, they probably already know that, but you know, it's just a little nice thing, and you can apply it to literally anything. As long as you start with talisman, you can't do it with machete, obviously, because machete is for is the on hit lifesteal with your auto attacks. But if you do talisman, you know, it's insanely good just to, you know, walk by raptor camp, throw an AoE ability down there. So like you can throw a Gragas Q in there while you're doing red buff, detonate the cask, and then boom, you start getting all this healing back. Raptors will start walking to you, but as long as you're outside of the range, which is directly in the red buff spawn, then the raptors will de-aggro and reset back to their position. And you can always just, that's just super good anytime that you're passing by the camp and then you just want to get some healing back. It's really only effective by the first clear because the healing is flat and it doesn't scale. So as you start getting higher levels, it's no longer the most effective thing. But for the first clear, it's super good and it's super nice, especially as you're getting ready for like a river battle in contention for a crab or something. So, but anyway, my overall opinions of Samira just on paper, not seeing numbers, not seeing actual gameplay, or I guess like solo queue wise or anything, as these were all taken from the PBE server. She seems nuts. And if she has either, if her numbers are so high in base damage or so high in scaling or so high in terms of durability, then I think her kit gives her the ability to do really stupid things. Things that other duelists / assassins / team fight chaos inducing champions that people want to, I expect her to be permabanned and ranked, not only because you don't want your teammates trying it out for the first time, but also you don't want to play against the one person who actually is pretty good at Samira and already knows how to use it. This seems like a nuts champion, but I'm excited to see and playtest it myself. In fact, and I wanted to ask you that question, guys, for those who are, you know, already subscribed to the channel and enjoy my content. I am a jungle main, but I've been playing this game for so long. I have a pretty solid understanding of the game on a macro level. I wouldn't call myself like a high tier analyst, but I am also I work as an esports commentator. I have been doing that for the past 2 years, mainly collegiate and semi-professional scene. So if you guys would be interested in seeing gameplay content, I would never want to do like full VODs. I would just like breaking down certain mechanics or just like looking at it just anything related in that. If you let me know in the comments, because you know, unless there's like a legitimate interest, and I don't think that's something I would ever put up on this channel, because I think if you want to see like high level gameplay of a champion, then I can tell you numerous challenger players that I know personally that probably already know this. You know, like go check out my homeboy Tenacity, go check out Kenvi, all these bright young and upcoming players that are already playing in academy that just got signed this year that started the waves from amateur. Go check out Niles. It's just like go check out Always Plan Ahead. Like I can tell you a bunch of challenger players that are just way better mechanically, you know, than me at the game. But I have a pretty, you know, solid understanding of the macro game. You know, I do have to commentate this giving for part-time living. So, but anyway, just wanted to give you my thoughts on that. But this concludes our Samira reaction breakdown overall. Just kind of thoughts about it as well. If there's anything else, other types of content you want to see from me within the coming weeks, we are preparing for Worlds this Friday. Play-in stages will begin at 12 a.m. PST, 3 a.m. EST. So, you know, if any of those games you're going to try to catch live, get ready to up your sleep schedule because you're getting up early. But over in our community Discord, the Raw Family server, we are doing a bunch of Worlds-related community challenges, starting with a custom-made plans group stage pick'em, since Riot unfortunately doesn't have an official one for this portion of the world stage. They will have one for groups, the main event groups and main event knockout, all the way until finals. But what we're doing is we're giving bonus points, and we're going to add it to our bracket that we're going to host for all the members in the Raw Family Discord. And then whoever gets the most points at the end of the whole event, we're going to get some cool prizes at the end. One of my mods has already offered to throw in a mystery skin. Another mod has already offered to throw in some extra RP on top. Who knows? Maybe the prize pool might be upped as we get closer and closer to Worlds, as the hype comes up. And also, you'll get the role of superior analyst in our Discord. But yeah, it's just a lot of things that we are looking forward to. Worlds is like Christmas to us esports fans. So for League of Legends. So. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you want to keep up with me on other social media, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, all at RafaCast, or I guess in the case of twitch.tv/RafaCast. You'll be able to find me there. As always, guys, stay wholesome, stay safe during these times. I'll see you next time.